There was end of an era talk going around this time last week, but Kilkenny's hurlers silenced that chatter, beating Tip. Waterford, beaten by Clare and Munster, have gone quietly about their business in the qualifiers, with wins over Offaly and Westmeath, and how they would love to put one over on their near neighbours.
Got plenty chances to do so, and they still left Wexford back into it, and if they hadn't been 3 points in front, they were gone. Look, they have a chance to improve from here. They're going into they're still in the draw. They're going into the quarter-final, and they have nothing to lose.
And of course, we're seeing the Waterford team now come out to prepare for this game against Kilkenny. Of course, this Waterford team did lose to Clare and Munster as well.
They did, but you know, for long periods of that game, they played very, very well, and were very, very impressive in the first half. Had their opportunity to extend the lead out to 7-8 points, and it was only really the last 15 minutes when Clare's game plan kicked in and it worked, and they ran off the shoulder.
On the middle of the field, and Jamesy O'Connor, I'm sure you've spotted a few switches already.
Yeah, I think Dahi called it right. Kevin Moran has started at wing back, and Dara Fives has gone to midfield. So strong Waterford half back line. They need in the second half because Kilkenny will have the aid, whatever elements are there. There's a slight breeze and certainly would favour Kilkenny in the first half.
Good win in the air there by Seamus Prendergast, and it puts Waterford on the front foot. This is Richie Foley, their midfielder, going for the first score of the night and getting it with some style. Well, he had very little room to work with, shooting over his shoulder and over the bar.
Yeah, and a great start for Waterford, and exactly what they need. I mean, this was there's method of Kilkenny's reasoning in taking the breeze. A good start is the one thing Kilkenny don't want to allow Waterford to get off, and Richie Foley scored to settle the Waterford nerves.
Brick Welsh getting on the ball for the first time, picking out only Kieran Joyce, outstanding at wing back against Tipperary last weekend. This is Richie Power. There's that familiar diagonal ball to Richie Hogan. Good close control. He's away from Noel Connors. He has support outside from Walter Welch. Instead elects to bring Aidan Fogarty into the match. Good strong block by Kevin Moran, the Waterford captain. Plays his hurling, of course, with De La Salle, the county champions. Kilkenny, though, have won the ball back. Knocked in by Matthew Ruth. And Stephen O'Keefe makes light of the elements and clears his lines. A frantic scrap for possession in front of a packed stand on this near side. Shane O'Sullivan managed to take that ball away without the hurl, and this is Seamus Prendergast, just lost it. And Brian Hogan didn't need a second invitation, drives it back down the field again. Brick Welsh standing firm at centre back. This is Richie Foley drilling it in towards that full forward line. Won by Paul Murphy. Still believed to be carrying an injury, but making light of it. Foley, who's been centrally involved so far, out to Shane O'Sullivan. Again, there's a block on that, but it works out for Waterford. This is Brian O'Sullivan. He's been scoring goals for fun. This time takes his point, and Waterford off to a flying start.
Yeah, good score again by Brian O'Sullivan, and there's a bit of a buzz about Waterford. You know, we spoke about before the game about the possibility of Kilkenny being flat and, you know, Waterford needing to get off to a good start, but that's 2 on the board from 2 opportunities, and Kilkenny have had one wide, and that last opportunity dropped into Stephen O'Keefe's hands. So good start again, as we said, for Waterford.
And the scorer there, Brian O'Sullivan, has been in flying form recently. Took Westmeath for 2 goals and 2 points in the last round, as Paul Murphy mops this up and takes the direct route, dropping it down towards Richie Hogan. One back there by Shane Fives. Good, precise delivery as Waterford worked the ball out through the lines. O'Sullivan tackled by Paul Murphy. Ball breaks to Seamus Prendergast. Just unable to get it under control as 2 or 3 Kilkenny backs got in around him. This is Maurice Shanahan. All of a sudden he's found space inside to Jamie Barron. He's tried to go around Murphy. Got the shot in, but Murphy did really well there to wrap him up. Barron couldn't strike it cleanly, and the chance was gone. And now Kilkenny will try and hit Waterford on the break, turning defence into attack quickly, but that was outside the range and cleared out towards Richie Foley once more. But a first glimpse there of Maurice Shanahan in full flight. Good block by Colin Fenley. Kilkenny play this pressure game so well. Tommy Welch, one man to aim at. It's big Walter Welch, touchdown beautifully to Aidan Fogarty. Peeling around on the outside is Richie Hogan. Just a quick change of direction, shooting from a tight angle.
Yeah, and you wonder, it might just be outside his range. He was looking there to see if somebody had made the side line, so probably too far out to carry all the way.
Richie Foley driving it in, dangerous ball, works its way through to Paul Murphy. Such a good reader of the game. He just stayed back there, waited for the play to develop, and now Richie Power drifts out from centre forward to have a look at this. Fancies his chances from just outside the 45-metre backs and cleared away by Jamie Nagle, outstanding against Clare in the Munster Championship. Waterford have started very positively here as Shane O'Sullivan drives it in towards Brian O'Sullivan, breaks out towards Seamus Prendergast, covering the cross for Kilkenny. Really quickly there was Jackie Tyrrell. Again, that left thigh is heavily strapped. An awful lot of ball. Again, is the first man on the scene. Now Jamie Nagle, the wing back from Dungarvan, into the centre. This is Dara Fives. Fives takes aim, drives it in, and drives it over the bar. He hit that from just inside his own half. Waterford lead by 3, and they really have hit the ground running.
Yeah, inspirational score, and the Waterford crowd, you know, no better supporters in the country, to be fair to them, you know, starting to get behind their team, and just what the doctor ordered.
So Waterford open up just a little bit of daylight, and that will do their confidence no harm at all. They come into this match, of course, on the back of successive wins over Offaly and Westmeath in the qualifiers. That's a loose pass intercepted by Brian Hogan. Flicked it outside towards Owen Larkin. An uncharacteristic mistake from the Kilkenny midfielder. And now Waterford will try and use the wide open spaces. Prendergast, again, he's there in front of Jackie Tyrrell. He needs support, and it's very slow in arriving. He has to hold it up and knocks it into the space filled by Kieran Joyce, and he could do that all evening long. Kevin Moran pumping it in towards the edge of the square. This time Waterford do have men in there, but Paul Murphy clears his lines. Well, it is stone wall defence there from Kilkenny as Colin Fennelly heads infield in search of space and opportunities. This is Aidan Fogarty, turns onto his right-hand side, shoots down towards the town goal.
To look up and see was there anything on, just lawyered in the general direction of the Kilkenny goal, and that's meat and drink to these guys. We saw that last weekend. So Colin Fennelly, that looks like it's over, yeah.
That's much better from Colin Fennelly, the Kilkenny captain, seizing on that loose ball. He had seen enough. It's taken them 11 and a half minutes, but the All-Ireland champions opened their account, and Waterford really only have themselves to blame.
Yeah, again, a puck out of some Stephen Fives or Stephen O'Keefe, and Kilkenny reacting first to it, and Colin Fennelly, you know, hasn't shown the form that we come to expect
in this Waterford game plan. Stephen O'Keefe went short with the puck out, found his man. That was
Turris. I'm not sure when you're 32 you have the same graph of this place, given the wide open spaces, and Waterford just need to be sensible in terms of the way they use the ball, and route one isn't going to work. We saw that last weekend. So, you know, better use of the ball, play the open spaces, try to find the runners, keep it open, and they have a chance.
Well, one of those 30-somethings, JJ Delaney, they're claiming that ball. Imperious on the edge of the square, and all of a sudden Kilkenny are on the attack once more. Colin Fennelly, their only scorer so far. Quick look up to spot the run inside of Matthew Ruth, but so too did Liam Lawler, and his challenge just enough to put Ruth off his stride. And now Waterford will again hit the space in front of that Kilkenny full back line. This time Jackie Tyrrell read it and got out in front of Prendergast. Down towards Walter Welch once more. Knocked away by Shane Fives. This is Richie, or Michael Rice rather. Back to Tommy Welch. Spotted the loose man. Richie Hogan had stayed forward, off balance, off his left-hand side. He knows he struck it well. The crowd know he struck it well. That's a first of the match for Richie Hogan, and it's back to a one-point game again.
Yeah, and it might have taken them 10 minutes or so to find their range, but found that they have. Just one thing I can't understand at Waterford. I mean, they appear to have gone to a two-man full forward line, but Seamus Prendergast has won those two, and he's someone that needs to be in a central position. That's not his game. You know, running out to the corners to win ball played in front of him, and Jackie Tyrrell comfortably beat him to that last ball. So he needs to play close to goal.
Brian O'Sullivan using his pace to get out in front of Paul Murphy. Nothing on backfield. He shoots for his own score, but wide on his own side. And that is a second wide for Waterford. But once again, winning the ball inside, Jamesy, but the support conspicuous by its absence.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot on. I mean, he took a look up. No one had made a run. Brian Hogan had drifted back, as he invariably does, you know, towards the D. Tommy Walsh also had made a run to make sure he was back in cover, and, you know, Kilkenny back in numbers.
Poor puck out by Owen Murphy. And Jamie Barron didn't need a second invitation. The corner forward from 4 Mile Water opens his account in this qualifier, and it's double scores after 15 minutes.
Yeah, and he's out in the wing with Prendergast now at full forward. Jackie's picking him up. Maurice Shannon is in the corner with JJ. And it's currently Jake Dillon that's at the forward on Brian Hogan.
Michael Ryan just trying to mix things up, keep Kilkenny guessing, keep them honest as Waterford slowly and steadily come down the field. Jake Dillon on the 40 into the corner, asking an awful lot of Seamus Prendergast, and Jackie Turrell wins that foot race. Back to JJ Delaney. Just had a quick look to ponder his options and decides to feed it down that far side. Breaks back into the path of Owen Larkin, man of the match against Tipperary last weekend. Continue the Waterford man down. Now the play has come to a halt, all right. It's Noel Connors, the corner back, who picked up an injury there.
Yeah, both himself and Taggy went up to contest this ball before, you know, high ball coming in here. They were both, I suppose, fighting for position, and just appears he's taking a knock somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where. I think there it is, yeah. Again, I suppose Taggy just trying to make space to go to catch the ball, and he obviously caught Noel Connors there. He's not a guy who goes down easily, so he appears to be going off, I think, to get some treatment. Yeah, it looks like a blood injury.
16.5 minutes gone. We're almost at the end of the first quarter. Waterford 2 points in front, James. They would have obviously taken that at half-7.
Absolutely. I mean, the first thing, I suppose, was just to, you know, make sure they were in the game, I suppose, inside the opening quarter. I mean, we've often seen in the Kilkenny with Waterford, they've gone for the jugular, you know, and kill the game off at an early stage. But, you know, okay, you wouldn't say it's been perfect. I mean, certainly some of their use of the ball, I mean, particularly with Seamus Prendergast, has been, you know, hasn't been tactically that astute. But as I said, 4-2 up, you know, 16 minutes into the game. I think Waterford and the Waterford players and management would have taken that position if you offered them at 7 o'clock.
Well, Michael Ryan has brought in number 17, Paddy Prendergast from Lismore, for the moment at least, to replace Noel Connors, who's had to leave the field to receive some attention, as Shane O'Sullivan from Ballygunner goes short with the line ball. It's all very intricate between O'Sullivan and Jake Dillon. Tommy Welch, his attempted clearance cannoned off his own man there, Richie Power. And what ensues is a little bit of a scrum in front of James Owens. And it will be a throw ball just on the Kilkenny 65-metre line. Noel Connors back in the match again. He has been patched up. Connors, of course, a former All-Star. And a very experienced key man in that Waterford defence. This is Jamie Barron trying to lose Brian Hogan. Easier said than done. Tried to thread a pass there, but intercepted. And now Richie Power claims that for himself out in front of Brick Welch. Links up with Matthew Ruth. His intended hand pass, though, was telegraphed, and Waterford have won it back again. Possession given away cheaply. Driving through is Dara Fives. That's his second point. It's Waterford's 5th. Just a loose hand pass. Waterford seized on it, and Dara Fives made no mistake.
Yeah, that's a great score, an inspirational score from Dara Fives. And again, he had a lot of work to do, but good tackling, good pressure by Waterford players in the middle of the field, closing Kilkenny down. And as I said, Fives onto the opportunity, beat 3 defenders, then put it over the bar.
All of Waterford's 5 points, by the way, have come from play, and they lead by 3 again. Certainly not playing at the moment like the rank outsiders they were coming in. On an evening when, of course, it is winner takes all, knockout championship hurling. Clare already safely through to the quarter-finals. Brian Cody hoping to lead the All-Ireland champions into that draw as well, where the winners of this game will meet one of the provincial losers. Poor sideline cut, knocked to Tommy Welsh. Superbly gathered inside by Richie Hogan. Support comes from Richie Power. Referee plays the advantage, and Richie Power and Kilkenny take it with both hands. Possession superbly won by Hogan initially, brought Power into the match, and that's Kilkenny's third.
Yeah, and I think, you know, Richie Hogan, to be fair to him, has been the one Kilkenny forward that's, I think, performed consistently this year. You know, other fellas have struggled to find form. We saw Larkin earlier in the year struggling for form. Super game the last day in midfield. But to be fair to Richie Hogan, he's the one player I think that's consistently, you know, played to the standards we normally expect him to Kilkenny attack. Could have gone off Brian O'Sullivan's, because I think Paul Murphy had pulled the hurley out of his hand. I don't know if we see it here on screen, but you know, good communication again between the officials, and Maurice Shannon, who's been pretty accurate from frees in recent weeks, sending over the result in 65.
Well, he's Waterford's leading scorer in the championship with 1 goal and 29 points. He's a very, very skilled marksman, and he has just shot that wide. Well, he hasn't started this match with the swagger and the confidence we thought he would. 22 minutes gone, and that was a very unexpected miss.
Yeah, well, I suppose, you know, again, the top free takers in the modern game, Mike, you know, they're scoring 80-90% of the opportunities from place balls that they get, and he'll be disappointed with that one. He's now out of centre forward, you know, but he's a guy that Waterford need to be involved. They need to get him into the game, and he's currently doing a stint at centre forward on Brian Hogan.
As that statistic shows there, Waterford shading it in terms of possession of the ball. That reflected in the scoreline at the moment, as Brian Cody argues the toss with the linesman on this near side. Still as competitive as ever. Ball dropped into the centre, gathered up by Owen Larkin. Again, he's looking for Richie Hogan, who I think is maintaining he got a push there. Referee says play away. Noel Connors just about got away with that. Out to the middle of the field to Dara Fives. Waterford trying to guard possession and mind it, but that ball wonderfully taken by JJ Delaney. This is Richie Power. Again, he's there in front of Brick Welch. He has just enough time to work with, and Richie Power drills over his second point of the match. He is certainly winning that individual battle in this first 23 and a half minutes, and the gap is back to 1.
He is, yeah, and a great advantage play by James Owens. You know, Richie Foley, and I think he's about to get a card for his troubles here. JJ is, see it here, going out to the line. Richie Foley came in, took him out, but good refereeing by James Owens. He allowed the advantage, you know, to flow, and Tommy Walsh picked out Richie Power to put the ball over the bar. So first yellow card of the game for Richie Foley.
And Waterford's lead pared back to the bare minimum after 24 minutes here in the glorious sunshine at Semple Stadium in Thurles. In case you joined us late, this match starting at 7:30 after the game between Clare and Wexford went to extra time, as Kilkenny now are starting to get their second win. Matthew Ruth delayed the pass to Colin Fenley, leaves his captain with some work to do. The Waterford defence close ranks, and back there to win it is Jamie Nagle, and Nagle clears his lines out as far as Dara Fives. Again, the Waterford defending textbook. Fives trying to hold off Owen Larkin, took too many steps. Good play by Larkin. He stayed with Fives, he stuck to his task, and he wins his free.
Yeah, and Dara Fives had time to get rid of that ball. Deadly accurate last week in Nolan Park, and you know, when every free was a pressure free. So his first opportunity tonight.
He's Kilkenny's leading scorer in the championship. He's just a few yards inside the Waterford half, and that one has tailed away to the right and wide.
Yeah, it's a subdued enough game, Mike. There's, you know, it's as if we need a goal or some incident to lift the crowd. We got a couple of inspirational scores from Dara Fives, but there's been very, very little, you know, of incident apart from that. And the game is, it just needs something now to kick-start it again.
Of course, a lot of these Kilkenny and Waterford supporters have been in the ground for almost 3 hours now in this sunshine. Perhaps it's starting to take its toll as Seamus Prendergast played that in towards Brian O'Sullivan, who seemed to just throw his hurl at it in frustration.
Yeah, that's a terrible pass to play. On to see with the ball in his hand, and a very, very poor wide.
We're into the 27th minute as Kilkenny come raiding. This is a chance for Fennelly, and Stephen O'Keefe gets his hurl to it to knock it up and over the bar. It's a second score for Colin Fennelly, but they haven't been scoring goals regularly this summer, and Fennelly had a gilt-edged opportunity here.
He had, and there's a tricky sun into Stephen O'Keefe's eye, so wouldn't have necessarily been a routine save, and he did well to put it over the bar. But Colin Fennelly, again, had he bounced that ball, you'd wonder would O'Keefe have seen it.
Kilkenny starting to find gaps here and there. Sides level for the first time in this All-Ireland qualifier, as Shane Fives flicks that out towards his brother Dara. He has support if he needs it from Kevin Moore, and instead picks out Shane O'Sullivan. Quick look up, drills it down towards Owen Murphy's goal, and Murphy, cool, calm and composed, shortens his grip and knocks it down along that left wing. Might just travel all the way through to Aidan Fogarty. This is Richie Foley, steps around the challenge, stretching his legs and driving past the 45-metre line. Larkin can't stay with him, but Brian Hogan just flicked the ball away brilliantly there. Added to by Tommy Welsh, and won back for Waterford by Dara Fives again. Fives in towards the edge of the square, but it was hit far more in hope than confidence. Seamus Prendergast needed better service. That's a fifth wide.
I suppose Kilkenny and this Kilkenny defence do better than any other defence in the game.
Kilkenny have hit 3 points in a row to get back on level terms, as Richie Power is chopped down there right in front of James Owens. Brick Welsh has all 10 points in the match so far have come from play, as Owen Larkin has this opportunity to put Kilkenny in front for the first time, midway between the 45-metre line and the 65-metre line. This time he makes no mistake, and for all their territory and possession and opportunities, Waterford find themselves a point behind with 6 minutes left in the first half.
Yeah, and you feel like that they had to take all those opportunities that presented themselves, and I think particularly the goal opportunity that Maurice Shannon created early on. I mean, that's the one in particular I think that they'll regret most. But they've had some bad wides as well, and those chances just can't afford to go begging against this opposition.
Ball breaks over towards the far side. Richie Foley again gets there first, lays it back as far as Jamie Nagle, knocking it in towards Maurice Shanahan, who's been kept on a very tight leash by that Kilkenny backline. Jackie Tyrrell clearing his lines defiantly out towards Walter Welsh, who's moved out to the half-forward line just to try and get involved. This is Shane O'Sullivan. Plays his club hurling with Ballygunner and steps away from Aidan Fogarty. Very ambitious pass, catching out Richie Foley. He needs support, and it comes from Jamie Nagle. And in the end, it all just got a little too tight. The linesman on that far side, Barry Kelly, has given, I think, the line ball to Waterford. But they complicated things there when maybe a more straightforward approach might have been the right option.
Yeah, they did, and again, Shane O'Sullivan, again, there wasn't a whole lot happening in front of him. Very, very few Waterford forwards had made a run or tealed off trying to lose their direct opponents, and he went for the, I suppose, more speculative crossfield pass.
Waterford, as Jamie Nagle knocks this in towards Prendergast again, but nobody inside the 20-metre line for Waterford, and cleared away by Owen Murphy. Down along this right-hand side, touched down brilliantly by Fogarty to Walter Welsh. Brick Welsh unable to stay with him. Walter Welsh driving through, hooked by Noel Connors with a little bit of help from the cornerback Shane Fives. Brian Hogan hasn't strayed too far from that centre-back spot, and commanding as always as that ball runs by Colin Fennelly, just shaking his head in frustration there, just seemed to lose it in the sun. Kevin Moran now on the ball for Waterford. Doesn't manage to link up with Shane O'Sullivan. Instead, Tommy Welsh keeps it tight to Colin Fennelly. Coming in support is Matthew Ruth, but he was hooked by Kevin Moran, who atoned for his earlier giveaway of possession. And now Richie Foley over on that far side into the centre to Dara Fives, who has been dominant in this first half. Just ambling up there in support is Maurice Shanahan, trying might and main to get into this match. being shackled by Brian Hogan, manages to get his pass away to Shane O'Sullivan. Loose man, if you can spot him, is Jake Dillon. Dillon gets possession, takes a look at the post and slots it up and over the bar. Well, Waterford needed that. That's Jake Dillon's first score of the match, and we're level for the second time.
Yeah, they did, and much better play. Maurice Shannon initially, you know, nothing really on, you know, did well to retain possession, picked out Shane O'Sullivan, and again, you know, all square. They certainly have taken it.
Kilkenny have never lost a qualifier. They've played 3, they've won 3, as that ball is gathered by Fogarty under pressure, and the referee has given a penalty. Well, Aidan Fogarty, it was a rush of blood to the head, really. He was well covered, and James Owens had no doubt.
Yeah, I think Noel Connors, you know, allowed him to catch that ball. Great catch by Caggy in the first place, and we can see him here. Yeah, he's pulling him down, and I suppose credit to Fogarty, he kept trying to play on. They do play football in Kilkenny by the looks of things, but you know, James Owens up with the play and no hesitation.
Ireland champions. Here he comes, Power drives it, and it's blocked away by O'Keefe. Flicked back in, and Kilkenny have to be content with the point. Well, the shot from Power was struck with tremendous force. I think Kilkenny players perhaps claiming that ball may have crossed the line, but the umpire didn't move a muscle.
Yeah, this is a big call. We could do with Hawkeye here. Struck it very well. It's hard to know. I mean, I think looking at it first time that Stephen O'Keefe got a hurley to that, the Kilkenny players are claiming that it actually came off the back stanchion. So James Owens having a good long heart-to-heart here with his umpires. Be interesting to see what conclusion they arrive at. It would be a huge call to award the goal. My initial reaction was that Stephen O'Keefe, you know, did get a hurley to it, and that's what caused the ball to come back. But I think we may see a green flag raised here.
And indeed we do. Well, that's a big call. James Owens speaking with his umpires, double-checking, and somebody changed their mind. The goal has been given, and that's a massive moment in this qualifier.
Yeah, and I think looking at it there, Mike, I think it was the correct decision, and, you know, credit to the referee for having the guts to make that call. It's a huge decision to make at a pivotal moment in the game, the stroke of half-time.
And of course, ironically, even if we had Hawkeye here in Thurles, which we don't, it's not used to rule on goal-scoring chances like that, as the Kilkenny team hit to the dressing rooms with a 3-point lead once more. Again, Dillon decides to go straight for the crossbar, back to Barron. Waterford holding possession, but making very little headway. And that pass invited Jackie Tyrrell in, so physically strong. Won the ball, wins the battle, and he has really been a commanding presence yet again this evening.
Yeah, Jackie's probably been Kilkenny's outstanding player, you know, this evening. But Watford again, Jimmy Barnes and Jake Dillon showing their inexperience, kind of, you know, going up a blind alley. And Maurice Shannon had actually made a run. He was behind Jake Dillon. He didn't see him, and the opportunity goes a big.
And among the crowd of just over 17,000 here in Thurles, former Waterford hurler John Milan. Oh, he would love to be out there right now, I'm sure, in the thick of it. Brian Hogan has to turn and go back towards his own goal there, and was hit hard and driven out over the play. He's 34 since January. Man who's won 9 All-Ireland senior medals and 11 All-Stars, and he will be in the match very shortly. Here's the goal scorer, Richie Power, onto his left-hand side, and that was too easy. Kilkenny extend their lead. That's a goal and 3 points now for Richie Power, who is well on top on the 40. And here comes Shefflin right on cue.
Yeah, and not too many players do that to Brick Watch, Mike. You know, Richie Power going up into the clouds and coming out with that ball over Brick's head.
Lays it off to Jackie Tyrrell. Looking more and more comfortable here at Semple Stadium the longer this match goes on. Richie Hogan buzzing around the half-forward line, outside to Power. Michael Rice had continued his run down along that right-hand side. Nobody picking him up. Doesn't see anything on short. Rice backs himself, and Stephen O'Keefe had to get up high there to knock that out away from the danger area. And the Waterford goalkeeper tidies up. This is Shane Fives, now playing his club hurling with Carrick-Tual in Cork. Loose hand pass given away to Owen Larkin. Larkin lobbing it in towards the edge of the square, and O'Keefe, who's been busy, is called into action again. And the Waterford goalkeeper from Ballygunner perhaps playing too much ball with it there, and he's given it away. A little bit of pandemonium in the Waterford defence, cleared up by Shane Fives, who spares the blushes of his goalkeeper, and the clearance completed by Kevin Moore. Superb take in the air by JJ Delaney, who got up over Seamus Prendergast. The Kilkenny defence now are starting to really hurt. This is Kevin Moore again, trying to drive Waterford forward. Their captain shoots from just on the halfway line. That's an inspirational score from Moore, his first of the match. And after all the toing and froing, Moran gets the score.
Yeah, some needless messing with the ball in their own full back line by Waterford, and they nearly paid the price for it. But you know, that score is the type of thing that Kevin Moran is one to do from time to time, and you know, that'll get the Waterford crowd going.
Well, it's just their second point in some 25 minutes, but it keeps them in this game. Richie Hogan from Danesford under pressure, spilled the ball. Waterford trying to dig in now. Sprinting away with it is Jake Dillon, managed to ride the first tackle. Lays it back as far as Shane O'Sullivan, spots the loose man, Dara Fives. He has hit the target a few times already, and he's just done it again. That's 3 points from play from Dara Fives, who's playing at midfield, the number 7 from Turin, and it's back to a 2-point game. 2 in a row for Waterford.
Yeah, and 2 really, really good scores. Again, Waterford working the ball well around the middle of the field. Just Shane O'Sullivan again, I think, was just, you know, played with his head up. So there was again an overlap, man over.
The final tally is done.
Yeah, very, very much in the game, and it's hardly as if Kilkenny have, you know, have flowed and you know, been at their best tonight. Far from it. So Waterford just need to stay in the game. I mean, there is a vicious sun now that's getting low. They have the aid of whatever elements are there. There is a slight breeze blowing down the field towards the Kilkenny goal. So just need now to make sure defensively they keep their shape, they remain solid, don't concede needless frees, and give themselves every chance.
That ball dug out by Kilkenny, worked back to Aidan Fogarty, and Fogarty from 50 metres hits his first point of the match, restores that 3-point lead again. Very scrappy passage of play. Fogarty coming to the fore, taking control and taking a score.
Yeah, he's a guy Brian Cody has had a lot of faith in over the years. Hasn't been his best this season. You know, probably under pressure now to...
It's a precision pass, low this time into Prendergast. He is the go-to man. Prendergast finally opens his account. It's taken a while, it's taken a few attempts, but that score from Seamus Prendergast is invaluable. It just reels Kilkenny back in, 2 between them.
And he's not the fastest player in the world, but he showed the couple of Kilkenny defenders a clean pair of heels there. And again, good play, good sensible ball. And Prendergast had made the run, peeled off his man. And to his credit, you know, put the head down, headed for goal, and bisected the post.
And all of Waterford's 9 points in this match have come from play now, as Brick Welsh goes back to gather. Has had very little chance to get on the front foot and drive Waterford forward. Flicks it away to the far side. Kevin Moran has to turn inside, hitting it down on top of Kieran Joyce. Possession given away cheaply again by Waterford. This is Richie Hogan. Just knocking it in, a hopeful ball in towards the edge of the square. Shefflin is in there, knocks it down into the space out around the 40. Recovering for Waterford is Richie Foley, and Foley drives it down the field again, but it's about to come back just as quickly. It is quite literally like hitting the ball off a stone wall. It's coming back out just...
Again, can't see this one having the Irish to get there, so maybe around the house.
Richie Power, winner of 6 All-Ireland senior medals, has gone for the score, and he has got it. It crept over the bar despite the best efforts of Stephen O'Keefe. He's now hit a goal and 5 points out of Kilkenny's tally. They lead by a clear goal again as we head down to the sideline to hear from our reporter Kieran McSweeney.
Well, Mike, we were saying earlier that it might cool down as the evening progressed, but things are getting hotter and hotter here as this game is so close. As you see, Kilkenny have gone for the heavy artillery in Henry Shefflin and Michael Fennelly. Shefflin started out at wing 4 but has been moved in now to the edge of the square.
Power. Ball runs away from Power though, and one back up by Jamie Nagle again for Waterford. First time ball, the direct route into the corner, looking for the substitute Barry or this man Seamus Prendergast. 2 strong men in opposition there, JJ Delaney and Seamus Prendergast, and Prendergast has drawn the foul and won the free. Well, that was a...
You know, sometimes as a free taker, when it's not going well from general play, there's just a bit of added pressure and a tight angle on the 21-yard line. and he's mishit it.
He hasn't scored in this match, Maurice Shanahan, when you consider the type of tallies he's been putting up recently. 13 points against Offaly, 1-9 against Westmeath. He's by far and away Waterford's leading scorer, but he's not on his game as Colin Fennelly drives through. Hand pass, though, was misdirected. Shefflin was in behind Liam Lauder, and the Waterford full-back gets it away. As far as this man, Shane O'Sullivan again goes long. He's looking for Prendergast, who just nudged JJ Delaney out of the way. Still Prendergast on a marauding run. He's got a man inside, hooked by Paul Murphy, and in the end, with him being replaced 15 minutes from the end, and it's Martin O'Neill, who was part of the 2009 minor team, who's in as Kilkenny and Richie Power clock over another.
As well, he's pretty much minimised Brick's influence on the game, and you know, that's a battle that Kilkenny have appeared to have won, and that's one that was always going to have a big impact on the overall outcome.
And that is now a goal and 5 for the two-time All-Star Richie Power, as Kilkenny continue to keep Waterford at arm's length. Waterford keep on knocking, but there's just no way in as that ball breaks down towards Jamie Nagle. Shefflin, a little look-away flick to knock it out towards Richie Hogan. He's being shadowed by Shane Fives, manages to pick out Owen Larkin. Larkin has all the time in the world to pick his spot and drive it over the bar. It's his second point of the match. Kilkenny ease into a 5-point lead. Hogan to Larkin and over the bar.
Yeah, and again, good heads-up hurling from Richie Hogan. And just, you know, Henry flicked that initial ball out to him, but just watching him, he peeled immediately off Liam Lawler. I mean, the option of, you know, was there.
O'Neill, who'd only been on the game, a matter of moments, forced off the field again. His big chance, his big night ending before it really began. And here's how he picked up the injury, the number 19, just turning awkwardly, and it looked like it may have been his knee.
Yeah, near an ankle. But either way, but now Shane Walsh is on, Mike. Again, Walsh is a good player, and you just have to, obviously has been racked by injury all season, and you know, you'd have to question his fitness. You know, he'd have been on before now if he was fit to start.
The desperate times require desperate measures for Michael Ryan, and as Jamesy mentioned, Shane full-back Liam Lawler just took a touch there to buy himself some time, works it away to Kevin Moran, and Moran from De La Salle shows a clean pair of heels to the chasing Michael Fennelly, and again he's eating up the ground is Kevin Moran into Prendergast, who timed his run beautifully to get out in front of JJ Delaney. Prendergast needs help, and it comes from the substitute number 18, that's Ray Barry, and Ray Barry fires it up and over the bar. Much better from Waterford. They held possession. Prendergast used it precisely this time, and Barry takes his score.
Yeah, again, a good score, and Prendergast centrally involved to it. I mean, he's, you know, put in a really good shift for Waterford today. Okay, he's missed some opportunities, you know, but pretty much involved in most of the good things Waterford have done in the second half, scoreboard-wise.
Paddy Prendergast, who started midfield against Offaly a couple of weeks ago, he's into the Waterford team now, replacing number 9, Richie Foley, who started really well, but just faded to the periphery as Owen Larkin has won himself a free, putting his body on the line there in a collision with Brick Welsh, who has had a very frustrating evening, Jamesy, at centre-back.
Yeah, and you can see it, this was written on his face, and just watching Owen Larkin here, I mean, again, kind of probably an element of maybe pulling Brick as well, and twisted around, and again, I suppose played for the free, and yeah, we see him there, he pulled the hurley out of Brick's hand. Experience.
Well, Owen Larkin has played 41 championship matches for Kilkenny, and as Jamesy said there, he used all that experience to engineer that free. Just the 2 points to his credit so far. He racked up a huge score last weekend against Tipperary. That's his third. Kilkenny ran out 6-point winners that day at Croke Park, and they're in the box seat here as Waterford would seem to have won a free for themselves. James Owens has blown his whistle. I think Kevin Moran was anxious that an advantage
go forward momentum. I mean, he's still plenty of running left in him, even on a punishing evening like this evening, and we see Waterford, yeah, reducing the deficit, and you know, they're still in it. 7.5 minutes left. But as I said, they're going to have to find a way to raise goals. Didn't take them, and you know, got hit by a sucker punch with that late Jack Iney goal. So You know, big free now for Jake Dillon. Convert this, and there's only 3 points between the sides.
Dillon from the county champions, De La Salle, dropping it in around the house. Dangerous ball. James Owens has blown his whistle. The last 11 All-Ireland finals, they know how to grind out results, how to get the job done. With 5.5 minutes to go now, Waterford are throwing everything into attack as Kieran Joyce gets it away. Breaks back into the path of Dara Fives, who has been one of Waterford's best.
Back there, Joyce.
High ball delivered in by Stephen O'Keefe. Jumping for it was the Waterford substitute. That's Shane Walsh. Ball breaks into a ruck of players again. But if nothing else, it keeps the ball in that Kilkenny half. Kilkenny, by the way, who have won this second half by 6 points to 5. And the longer this game goes on, the more crucial, the more invaluable that goal from Richie Power seems. Driving out with that ball for Kilkenny is Michael Fennelly. Loses possession, though, won back by Jamie Barrett. Hand passed across to Ray Barry again, and the Waterford substitute, Ray Barry, fires over his second point since coming in off the bench, and all of a sudden it's back to a 3-point game. 4 minutes to go. Waterford played Kilkenny in that All-Ireland semi-final 2 years ago. They've lost John Milan and Owen Kelly to retirement. Stephen Malumphy and Philip Mahoney both out of the country. It's a new team, it's a new era as Jamie Nagle drives this down towards the Kilkenny goal. 10 wides for Waterford, and that is one they really needed. The momentum was starting to come behind them.
Yeah, and Seamus Prendergast just shaked his head. I mean, he was, you know, on the 21 himself. JJ
at the end of the first half is going to turn out to be, as Waterford prepare to introduce the legend that is Tony Brown. He celebrated his 40th birthday 2 weeks ago. This is his 65th championship appearance, and if ever Waterford needed Brown, James, they need him now.
Yeah, and I think, you know, Dara Fives picked up a knock, and he's certainly struggling. So, you know, I suppose in a game like this, why not throw on Tony Brown and his experience?
Tony Brown, a man who played under-21 championship hurling against one Jamesy O'Connor back in the early 90s, is in for the last few minutes of this Phase 3 qualifier. Could his career have a fairy tale ending? It just might. That's another Waterford score, and again it's that man, Ray Barry from Lismore. It's his first season on the Waterford panel. He's hit 3 points since he came in off the bench, and all of a sudden Waterford are back to within 2 points.
Yeah, and there's, you know, no worse lead to have in a championship match than 2. Clare were lucky in the first game that there were 3 clear when Jack Lang struck that last minute goal. So, you know, again, there'll be a few Kilkenny fingernails being chewed, you know, as the game enters its final closing stages.
3 points in a row for Waterford now as they throw caution to the wind. They have everything to gain and nothing to lose, written off in most quarters coming into this match against the championship specialists that are Kilkenny. But now, as we swing towards injury time, who can finish the stronger? Kilkenny have a 2. No indication yet as to how much injury time we'll have. We'll find out very shortly. Kieran Joyce knocks this in towards Henry Shefflin, won back by Kevin Moore. The Waterford captain leading by example, steadying down, shooting for the score. Moran drives it down the field, and it's gone over the bar. Waterford are within 1 point. That's a second of the evening for Kevin Moore. Will we have extra time? We'll have at least 2 minutes of additional time. And Jamesy O'Connor, what a finish.
Absolutely. I mean, fantastic score by Kevin Moran, and we see what it means to the Waterford crowd here. They've, you know, the team have just dug in. Brick, I suppose, has come into it. Moran has had a great last 15 minutes, and, you know, the next score now is everything.
4 in a row for Waterford. Kilkenny, the All-Ireland champions, being pegged back as Michael Fennelly uses all his experience to dig that out. Here's Richie Power, the man of the moment. Power shoots for the score and wide. We're in injury time, Jamesy. Your selection for man of the match from this pulsating qualifier.
Yeah, well, I think, I suppose, Jackie Tyrrell has been outstanding in the Kilkenny half-back. I mean, Brian Hogan, great first half. Richie Power, obviously, you know, was, I suppose, the other real big contender. But Tyrrell has come out with a lot of ball. He's been pretty exemplary, and, you know, he's my man of the match.
So Jackie Tyrrell is Jamesy's selection, but this isn't over yet as Owen Murphy comes from his goal. The first minute of injury time has almost elapsed. Waterford need just one more score to send this match to extra time. Great strong hand by Matthew Ruth. Shefflin flicks it first time in towards Fogarty. Back goes Shane Fives, and Stephen O'Keefe clears it away to Jamie Nagle. We're getting the grandstand finish we were hoping for. Nagle picks out his captain, Kevin Moran. What a second half he's had. Taking on Larkin, still full of running. He's one of Waterford's main men. Hooked by Larkin. Has to gather his thoughts. Shooting for the equaliser, and Kevin Moran has hit the target. We're level for the third time here at Semple Stadium in Thurles, and we're on the brink of extra time.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, you couldn't have seen this maybe 10-15 minutes ago, but you know, those switches that Michael Ryan has made, was particularly bringing Moran out to the middle of the field, has made a massive difference. And you know, Owen Larkin tracked him all the way, got the hook in the first time, but unbelievable score. And the tails are up, they're full of running.
And could they go and win it? Well, they haven't beaten Kilkenny in the championship since 1959. They've hit 5 points in a row. It's a flying finish from Waterford. Kilkenny would seem to have hit the wall spectacularly. Next score will surely win it. Colin Fennelly, man in the middle. It's his brother Michael holding it up. He's being harassed and hounded by Jake Dillon. Knocks it in, hopefully towards Shefflin. Missed by Shane Fives, picked up by Matthew Root, but the final whistle has already gone. The score won't count. James Owens had blown his whistle for full time just as Matthew Ruth took that shot at goal, which for the record went over the bar. Sensational, controversial finish, Jamesy.
Controversial finish. Yeah, I suppose looks in the referee's defence, 72 minutes 10 seconds I think was what was on the clock when you know, when he blew the whistle. There were 2 minutes of stoppage time, but it's a gutsy call to make, a huge call to make, and I'm sure Brian Cody and the Kilkenny's management are furious at that decision. I suppose he made a brave call before half-time to, you know, overturn the umpires' decision and award the goal, but this is a massive call now, and as I said, 72 minutes 10 seconds on the clock I think it was. Technically I suppose he was maybe correct, but normally referees in those circumstances allow you know, play to develop and the score to be allowed.
Well, this is what championship hurling is all about. It's finished in a draw. Kilkenny won 12, Waterford 15 points. We'll have extra time next here, live on 3.
Here's Michael Fennelly, the Kilkenny substitute, and Fennelly has put that over. 2 in a row. They didn't score for the last 9 minutes in the 70, but they've started brightly, they've started quickly, and Fennelly gives them a 2-point lead. Colin Fennelly to Michael Fennelly. Kevin Moran putting him under serious pressure. Here's Colin Fennelly. He's full of life, he's full of running, and Colin Fennelly with the score. Such a great start to this first period of extra time for Kilkenny, and John Milan at this stage can hardly watch. Colin Fennelly put the hand up after that. Richie Hogan is still a live wire. Hogan with the ball on his stick, Michael Fennelly in front of him, and Hogan juggling with it. Absolutely superb. They have found some groove just when you started to worry about fatigue from their point of view and tiredness with all the miles on the clock and all the activity they've had over the last 6 weeks. That's a gorgeous point from Richie Hogan. Jamie Nagle, Eddie Barrett, that's Paddy Prendergast, and that's a good ball in. Paul Murphy chasing after it. It could go anywhere. Prendergast, great save! It's in the back of the net. Waterford have a goal, but the referee is in. The Kilkenny players are claiming that he was in the square. Was he? Well, just have a look at this again. Prendergast, this is a brilliant save initially, and is the Waterford man in the square? Goal has been given. The goal has been given. Well, at almost 9:30 in the evening in Thurles, the lights have come on and they're shining brightly on Colin Fennelly as he turns back around. He's got Richie Hogan. Hogan has really come good in the extra time, and that's a peach of a point from Richie Hogan. In the extra time alone, he's scored 4 points. 4.5 minutes remaining. Liam Lawler. Dara Fives in around the house up towards Seamus Prendergast and others, and Maurice Shanahan has it. Shanahan has been fouled. JJ Delaney's hurt himself. The ball has ended up in the back of the net, but the referee's whistle was clearly audible. 3 points between them. This is the incident again. Do you put it over the bar or do you try and go for the goal to bring you level? Shanahan for Waterford. He's going for it. They've saved it. They've kept it out, but it's back in. It's in the back of the net. It's in the back of the net. A Waterford goal out of nothing. They thought they'd kept it out. Here we go again. Shanahan, Lester Ryan with the initial save. Came back out and it's buried in the back of the net. Ray Barry. They're level again. One more. Here goes Colin Fennelly. Fennelly for Kilkenny, juggling with it, and he's put it over. What a response. The response and the reply of champions who do not want to give up their title just yet. Fennelly's point coming just seconds after the Waterford goal has the All-Ireland champions leading by 1. Brick Walsh. And now it is Matthew Ruth. Ruth thought he'd done it in the 70th. Perhaps he has done it now. Matthew Ruth, 2 in a row. And that is the mark of champions, to come up with the goods when they need it most. Here come Kilkenny again. They lead. Colin Fennelly, the icing on the cake. It's Matthew Ruth. What a save! What a save from Stephen O'Keefe. Brian Cody can't believe what he's seen. It's over. It is all over. And Kilkenny live to fight another day. They had to go to the well yet again, and they were not found wanting. Brian Cody's men are through to the All-Ireland quarter-finals, but boy, oh boy, Waterford gave them several frights. They win by 122 to 2 goals and 16 points.
It was just a fabulous game. But again, you know, I would give absolute massive credit, obviously, to Waterford. I thought they were superb. I think they are a superb team. But I would give super credit to our team, because, you know, people will say, like, I mean, how do you keep hunger like that and spirit, because they have had a bit of success. But it's about what you're doing at the time. It's about the present and everything else. And, you know, if our spirit was in any way diluted, we couldn't have just driven it on and driven it on and driven it on. And it was just a great occasion. Great to be part of it, I suppose, but terrific to be successful in it.
We're absolutely gutted. We genuinely felt we had a great chance of winning the game. We played really, really well. When it went to extra time, we thought we might have the legs in Kilkenny, but in fairness to them, you know, there's great credit due to them. But I'm so proud of my lads, and maybe we're hurting today, and maybe we're very disappointed. But the benefits of this performance and this year will be seen in the years ahead, and there's a huge future for Waterford Hurling.
You have a week off next week.
Sadly, yeah, it's been great to keep it going again. Yeah, I mean, we have 2 weeks to a quarter final now, and we don't know still who we're playing. We won't know till Monday morning. Possibly we might know tomorrow, I think. And we'll prepare for that. But you know, we've had a few weeks in the trot now, and we've come from a situation where we weren't playing particularly well to putting 2 good weekends together. Now, everything wasn't perfect about tonight's game from the point of view of everything we'd like to see, but the basics are pretty good.
Certainly. Well, Ollie Moran, it was a great performance from Waterford, really battling, but Kilkenny showed they refuse to die, don't they? They refuse to be beaten.
Yeah, they're never beaten, and you know that wasn't vintage Kilkenny by any means. Probably until the second half of extra time, they really started coming into their own, you know. But certainly they were struggling, maybe in a lot of areas. There was no flow to their game like what you normally associate with Kilkenny. But like that days, you know, they're just never beaten. And once the game was in the melting pot, especially after Waterford had scored the goal, they just pushed on. You know,
got 3 points in 2 minutes or something. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely trademark Kilkenny, and really good points. You know, a Leicester team, I suppose, would have just died away, but you know, Kilkenny are no ordinary team.
Now, there were some big talking points in the game, Eddie. 3 in particular. You're going to
there was a couple of controversial moments, all right. Yeah. And the first one, I suppose, is this. And you know, clearly they got it right when we look back on it afterwards. I suppose the question is what changed their mind, because I see one of the umpires went and put the flag up for a point. You know, I think Colin Fennelly done really well, but you can see it here. It clips the net and then bounces back over. Now it's a goal, there's no doubt, and it happened to me before against Clare one time. But this,
and was it allowed for you?
No, yeah, it was, thankfully. But we look at it here. Look, a lot of Kilkenny people were mad with this last night, and you know, James Owens has taken his eye off play, to be fair to him, and he has the whistle in his mouth looking at his watch.
Before the ball is struck.
Before the ball is struck, so you could argue it.
So again, if we look at this goal here, one of the big talking points, the reality is here, if you watch the ball crossing the line, and if you watch where Jake Dillon is, he was clearly inside in the square. Did well to finish it, good save from Owen Murphy, but it was a square ball by the rules.
Yeah, although at the pace of the game, I suppose it's hard to spot, is it?
Yeah, and just in relation to the James Owens thing, because I know a lot of people in Kilkenny were up in arms over this. I suppose the reality is it's very hard for him to stop play in that situation, but he had his mind made up, in fairness to him. I suppose the debate is if Kilkenny had been a point down, or if it was the score to draw the match, what would have happened? And I suppose there is, I think there's a debate there then to be taking the score or the timekeeping away from the referees altogether. And like the rugby, maybe bring in something like that, because let play out. When it goes dead, it's all over. Now, it would have been cruel to see Waterford bet in that fashion, considering the entertainment they gave us afterwards. But
yeah. All right, well, what about Kilkenny? I mean, Ollie made the point that there wasn't their same flow. Didn't get as many scores, probably, in the 70 minutes. But if I was to ask you about the positive side, I mean, you've played with a lot of them. What are the positives we saw from Kilkenny?
Yeah, look, I suppose, from being there, look, Jackie Tyrrell and he had a great match last night, but, standing up, nothing stupid, just walking out. And JJ Delaney looked too much JJ does, just a sick catch, as he always does. But, I think when the match was, as we said earlier on, Kilkenny aren't playing with the slickness and maybe the polished performances that we've come to expect. But what they're doing more than anything is they're grinding out results, and different players are chipping in at different stages. There's nobody really stand out playing a man-of-the-match performance, but each player is contributing. You had Michael Fennelly winning the ball, thrown out to Colin. Colin got a point. Richie Hogan then doing what he does best, just cute as could be with the ball. Even checks his swing a little bit because he threw it up a little bit high. But I think more than anything, Aidan Fogarty then, they pulled away in extra time the first few minutes. But I suppose...
Are the Kilkenny fans getting more buzz out of this than All-Ireland finals the last few weeks? The tension.
They probably are, and I suppose the entertainment you look at, like last weekend we spoke about the buzz that was in Nolan Park, and this was a huge 7 days for Kilkenny, playing against two of your neighbours, which is not an easy ask. And I suppose in Kilkenny even people are saying, oh God, are they on the wane? But look, when you have the qualities of just never say die, spirit, characters in there that just say refuse to be beaten. And I often heard Brian Cody saying that, I want lads in here that just will not accept defeat. And I think last night just exemplified that in a huge way.
In fairness, Dunloe, Waterford had plenty of fellas with lots of fight, and you've picked out a couple of them who really impressed you.
Yeah, Waterford contributed towards a fantastic game, There was a number of them played really well. Darrell Fifes, he's really impressed me over the last while. If you look at this here, he's very composed, he seems very intelligent on the ball. This was a fantastic score in the first half. And this next clip here, you learn a lot about guys in games like this. Great lockdown. But if you look at here, keeps his head in the ball, picks up the ball, he's surrounded by 3 Kilkenny men. And he has the athletic ability to get away from in that position, and has the composure to put the ball over the bar. Really impressive stuff.
The next fella then, Kevin Moore, I mean, we spoke about this fella, we've seen him doing with De La Salle, and this is, deep into the match, 2 points down, and never even looked at the goalpost. That's the thing, I suppose. He's played in Turtles a fair bit now, so he knows where they are, he should. But this really is, you talk about a captain, and I suppose Waterford have been, we have to give them credit in that they have this never say die attitude, and Kevin Moore, for me, exemplified that more than anyone. As captain, that was expected. After that point, the chap went up the sideline and emptied his stomach. That's how much he had given to Waterford last night. I've seen him doing that with De La Salle, and when the match was in the melting pot, almost gone from them, that is just a massive score. Because Owen Larkin done everything you could ask of a player. Say he had him shepherded out, hooked him, and just, as I said, the bit of cuteness to hold on to it and pick off it.
All right, then. Well, don't look. I mean, Ollie makes the point. They weren't perfect. Eddie says no, they're not perfect, but they have that never say die spirit. So, what do Kilkenny need now going into the quarter-final with Cork?
Yeah, well, they're like a champion boxer, and that people are waiting for them to be beaten. But who are they going to say is going to actually beat them? But looking at some of their players, look, they're a great team. Eddie was pointing that out, but there's still parts of their game that maybe are questionable. The delivery into the defence sometimes, for me, if you look at here, you've got the likes of Richie Hogan trying to get underneath the ball and win that type of pass, and a lot of the Kilkenny backs, the distribution isn't great. Owen Murphy made 2 very good saves last night, but again, some of his puck outs, I actually saw him using a couple of different hurleys for the puck outs last night, and maybe the short puck out is an option at times. I know it's not Kilkenny style, but you need. I think actually defences are starting to defend better against. Here's an example here again. Could you use the more simple option, give it to one of your players with you, and try and give a better ball up into the attack? As I said, I think that defences are starting to defend more again. If you look, an interesting point, Tommy Welch, for the last couple of weeks, I've seen him, he's changing his hurley for the sidelines. And, they don't seem as if they're playing 100%.
They're still winning games. As I said, who's going to be the team to beat them? But it looks as if teams are getting better, learning how to defend against them better, but it does look as if they're coming back down towards the chasing pack.
All right then. Well, Ollie, we can't finish without acknowledging a man who came on last night to a huge ovation from his own supporters, Tony Brown, 40 years of age playing senior championship.
Well, look, above anything else, Tony Brown is just a nice guy, and he's universally popular amongst his own players and amongst players from other counties. He's a warrior to the last, and I think that's why Waterford people gravitate